All right, this is part 2 of the starches lecture. We've gone through potatoes and we went through rice and we've gotten to wild rice. So why is this different? Well, wild rice, even though it's given the name as a wild rice, is not really a rice. It is not a grain. What it is, it's a grass. And it's harvested from northern US and Canada. Very popular in fall menus. And it can be very nice. The thing about wild rices is you have to simmer them, which is different from regular rice, 3 times water for 45 minutes. So it's more water or stock than regular rice, and it takes 45 minutes. So if you remember, white or milled rice, about 17 to 20 minutes in 2 parts water. All right, so for every 1 cup of white milled rice, you would use 2 cups of liquid, and you would go 17 to 20 minutes. Brown rice, which still has the bran on it, still the 2-to-1 ratio, 1 cup of brown rice, 2 cups of liquid, but that's twice as long, so you're looking at 35 to 40 minutes. Wild rice is a grass. We're using 3 times the amount of liquid, so for every 1 cup of wild rice, you use 3 cups of liquid and minimum 45 minutes. The grain will crack open when it's cooked. And so I don't have a picture up here. So what I did is I brought up some Google pictures for you. I wanted you to see this. Because this is what a wild grain looks like, or wild grass, or wild rice, sorry, looks like uncooked. So when you purchase it, it'll look like that, okay? And there are different kinds. You can get white or brown. A lot of times they're mixed because it looks so pretty. When they cook, this one's like cooked majorly, all of those grains have popped open. Here's one where some of them have popped open, okay? That's what it looks like when it's cooked. You see how they pop open? The grains have popped open, all right? And I even saw this, I thought this was good. This is what it looks like on the actual grass, okay? This is what wild rice looks like. So, in case you've never had wild rice before, this one looks really good. Look at the mushrooms. So again, very rustic. There's a wild rice or mushroom soup with wild rice. Rustic, fall type thing for sure. Okay. All right. So corn products. Now the other thing is I've run into people who are, may look at a plate that has, let's say, polenta and, buttered corn. And they're like, oh, you have 2 starches. Maize is different from the vegetable that we consume as sweet corn. Okay, it is genetically different. Maize is that starchy dent corn that we use to make corn flour and corn meal, all right? An Italian-style cornmeal, we call that polenta. Cornmeal can also be used to make grits, which is a southern favorite, right? We see that a lot, but all of these are corn products. It is the corn used to make these starchy ingredients are different from the corn that we use to eat as sweet corn. The sweet corn, as we know it, is much higher in moisture. It's much higher in sugar. All right, less starch. So you could not take the sweet corn that we use as a vegetable and dry it out to make a cornmeal. It is a different type of corn. All right, pasta time. This is a really old picture. Pasta. Pasta comes from the Italian word for paste, okay? And there are different types of pasta doughs that we can make. We made fresh pasta, where we mixed flour and salt and a little bit of water and egg, okay? And that is an egg or a fresh pasta. Egg pastas contain 5.5% of egg solids, flour, and water. Dry pasta. In dried pastas, which are very popular in southern Italy, okay, whereas fresh pastas are more popular in northern Italy, dry pasta is just made from semolina and water. There is no egg in dry pasta. And those are usually formed or pressed, and then they're dried, where we get our dried pastas from. Our egg pastas, we roll out, we use AP or bread flour, and then we run it through the machine just like we did in class, and then cut it as needed. Okay, so those two are different. When we're cooking pasta, we want the doneness to be al dente, which means to the tooth, meaning not too mushy, but not too crisp. So to the tooth, we want it to have a little bit of bite to it. When we cook dry pasta, we want a 1-to-10 ratio of water. We want that water to be salted and boiling before we add it in. My husband and I go through this all the time. He'll be making pasta, and don't get me wrong, he does a great job making pasta for dinner, and I'm not going to get on his back for making dinner. But so many times I've walked into the kitchen and the water is not anywhere near boiling, and there's pasta down in the bottom of the water. And that is the wrong way to cook pasta. It will not cook properly. You need to have salted, boiling, like rolling boil water before you stir in that pasta. If you add it into water that's not quite boiling, it'll stick together. It won't cook quite right. It'll be mushy. So making sure that that water is boiling is very important. And then you see where it says add oil ? This is something that different chefs will have different opinions on. For me personally, I feel like adding oil to the water is a waste of money, because the oil rises to the surface and just kind of floats there, and we're going to drain it off anyway, and it doesn't really coat each piece of pasta just by draining it off. So the better thing to do is cook it in boiling salted water, making sure you stir every once in a while so they don't stick together. And that's another reason why we use 1-to-10 ratio when cooking dry pasta of water. It's very important that pasta have room to move around, or else they'll stick. You see these videos online and on BuzzFeed and everything where you do it in a skillet with just a little bit of water. As long as you're there to keep stirring it, that's fine. But if you try to do that and walk away, it will all stick together and it will not cook properly. So pasta needs lots of water to move around, all right? So it doesn't stick together. So procedure for cooking in volume. So what we know as par cooking. So if you're doing a large group of people and they're doing chicken fettuccine Alfredo, okay? You will not wait until everybody's there to start cooking pasta. You're going to cook those hundreds of pounds of pasta prior to them getting there. You do this by cooking it for about 90% of the time. So if a dried pasta normally takes 9 to 10 minutes to cook, you would only cook it 8 to 9 minutes. Drain it, immediately toss it with ice water, get it all cooled down, like basically shock it. Remove all that liquid very quickly, toss to coat it with oil, chill it, and wrap it, and then reheat to order in boiling water. So this is also done, I think I've shared with you that Olive Garden was one of the places that I worked at when I was in high school. And believe it or not, they cook most of their menu items in-house. So in other words, when they get there for the day, they prep almost everything, which includes par cooking and portioning out pasta. And what they do is they follow this method absolutely. Okay, so they cook it, they toss it, they coat it with oil, and then they portion it out into about 8-ounce portions, and they bag it. And then so when an order comes in for pasta, they just grab one of those bags, drop it into boiling water, and then everything's perfectly portioned. They know exactly how long it needs to be cooked. It's quick, and it's ready to go. So that's how we would, cook pasta for volume. Oh, is that really it? Fantastic. Okay, guys. So as long as you watch all 4 of these videos for vegetables and starches, you will get credit for the day for attendance. And I will see you tomorrow, being Wednesday. We'll get right into the recipes. In fact, I'm going to see if I have them digitally. I'll try posting them up so you guys can take a look at them, so that you can be ready to go as soon as we get in, because we'll be doing all of our vegetables and all starches on Wednesday, because Thursday we'll have our exciting field trip to Brothers Produce. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.